Hello, everybody. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about resolution and what that means and what the different types of resolutions are used for. So, resolution refers to the number of pixels in an image. The more pixels, the more sharper and crisp your image is going to be, whereas the less pixels, it'll be a little bit grainier, maybe look a bit blurry, because it will have a lower resolution. So let's talk about what those are used for. So low resolution, I will show you an example, is used for things like if you are getting approval for a design. These are going to have the smallest file size, so they're the easiest to send back and forth. As you can see, you can tell what is going on, but if you are to enlarge it, it is blurry. As you can see, there are very few pixels, these little squares, so it's not very crisp. You wouldn't want to get this printed or present this as final, but you could use this to send back and forth to approve final design. Here's another example where you can read it, but it is clearly quite blurry and not something that you would want to send to print. Now, medium resolution can be used for a multitude of things. It could be used for the same, it could be used for finalizing design, because the file size will be a bit smaller. But it can also be used for larger scale things such as billboards, where you will be viewing it so large and from so far away that the resolution doesn't have to be quite as crisp, because you will not be seeing all those pixels up close. You won't be seeing it. You'll be far enough away that the crispness will look there, even though it's slightly less. So here's an example. As you can see, it's pretty easy to read. You can't necessarily tell that it isn't 100%, but if you were to zoom in, you can see that it's not quite as crisp as what it could be. But for things such as billboards, then sometimes that is okay, because it is such a large format. Another thing to consider is specifications for what you are making. If it's a print ad or a digital ad or something like that, then the vendor may have specific qualifications for the piece. It may have to be a certain resolution, a certain size. That's where medium size resolution might come into play, because you may have to use medium as opposed to large, just because the file will be too large or the DPI might be too high. So you may use medium for some digital ads as well as billboards potentially. Here's another example. Like I said, not as crisp, but very easy to read. It looks pretty good. Now, high resolution is going to be what we want to send to print. This is what we want for print ads. This is what we ideally want for digital ads, depending on restrictions of the vendor. This is what we want for video, for photography on websites, for social media. This is going to be the crispest, the cleanest. As we can zoom in on these letters, it's very clean. It's not as grainy and pixelated as, let's say, we'll go back to low resolution. When we zoom in here, as you can see, a lot fewer pixels. The color isn't as crisp. It's just a lot more pixelated. So this is the best quality. I'll show you the other example of the card. The lines are clean. Everything is nice and clean and crisp. We want to send these to vendors for final printing, for videos, like I said, on our websites. This is just the highest of quality, also the largest file size. So it's going to be, when you're emailing things back and forth or uploading or whatnot, these will be the largest files. but definitely the best quality. So that's a little overview of resolution and what each different resolution means and where they apply. So I hope that was helpful to you and that it clears up some of the questions you may have.